Okay, so rate of change is the measurement of change per unit. So there are different names for rate of change. You can just call it just rate, or you can use the whole phrase rate of change, or you can call it slope. But basically what it is it's the change in x, and what change means is, or change in y, pardon me. Change means that you're going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract my y values, and then I'm going to find the change in x. So I'm going to subtract my x values, and then I'm going to simplify. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you'll please turn to the back, and on the back you see some problems like this. We're actually going to start on the back and we go work our way up to the front. We found that that works better when we did this last year. So first of all, put your points in. You know, you've got your x and your y, and so your x and your y, you've got your 0, 4, and then here's your x and y, so you've got negative 3, 1. There's your order of pairs. Once you get your order of pairs, you put your points in the t-chart, very first thing. Then you're going to find the change, which means to subtract. So you are going to subtract on both sides. You're going to subtract your y's, and you're going to subtract your x's. So do it on both sides. And to be consistent, you start from the bottom on both of them. So start from the bottom, okay? So we are going to enter negative 3 minus 0, okay? So negative 3 minus 0, and you get negative 3. So we're going to put negative 3 on that side. And now we're going to enter from the other side. Now, I have to be consistent and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to start with 1 and then put minus 4. So in the calculator, you have 1 minus 4. Hit enter. You get negative 3. So I have negative 3 on the other side. Now, you swing it over. So when you swing and simplify, simplify means you are going to divide. Okay? So I'm going to divide by whatever the number was on the x. So put down the bottom. So you have, and enter this in top down. So you've got negative 3 divided by negative 3, which is positive 1. And so my answer, the rate of change, is 1. And that's your answer, positive 1. Number 2. So very first thing, we're going to set our t-chart. So you have negative 2, 4, and you have negative 1, 8. Now you're going to subtract both sides. And remember, when you subtract, you're going to start from the bottom, okay? So you're going to say negative 1 minus negative 2. Negative 1 minus negative 2. And you get positive 1. So positive 1. Now do the same thing on the other side. 8 minus 4, which is 4. Now you're going to swing. So you're going to take this 1 and you're going to put it underneath with division, and then enter from the top down. Okay, so 4 divided by 1, which all of you know that 4 divided by 1 is 4. So my answer is 4. That's my rate, that's my slope. The next one, number 3. So you have 3, negative 4, that's my first order pair, and 0, 4. Now I'm going to subtract. And remember, always start from the bottom. So 0 minus 3. So 0 minus 3, and you get negative 3. Now start from the bottom. So 4 minus, and then you have to put negative 4. So 4 minus negative 4 equals 8. So this is 8. Now swing. So negative 3 goes underneath, and you enter from the top down. Now that was a negative 3. Make sure you can see your negatives. Sometimes I notice some of your negatives get kind of mixed in with the equal sign or the fraction bar. Be careful. If it's a fraction, you can leave it, or you can hit Control Enter and change it to a decimal. So that would be negative 2 point, and we could round that to a 7. So you can either leave it negative 8 over 3 or negative 2.7. The 6 is repeating, can go up to a 7. Now look at the problem right above it. There is a t-chart. There's a graph. And on the graph, it says find the rate of change. Anytime you want to find a rate of change, you are going to set up a t-chart. Now your x-axis is always along the bottom, so that is the number of miles. And the y-axis is in the dollars. It is the vertical, the up and down. Okay, so you got miles and you got dollars. It does not matter which point you use. It does not matter at all. So I'm just going to pick some. 4. So the number underneath that is a 4 on my X, and then go across, and it goes with 8. And then I have another point. Again, it doesn't matter which one you pick. If I go down, this is an 8. So the 8 is in the X, and go across, and that's 12. And I could have used any of those points. It does not matter. Then you're going to subtract. 8 minus 4 is 4. 12 minus 8 is 4. And I'm going to swing it. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So my rate is 1. Now, this is very, very important. When you are labeling, the dollars goes with the top. The miles goes with this bottom one. So it's dollars over miles. So this is $1 per mile. Okay? And that is the cost of the cab, $1 per mile, based on this graph. All right, go back to the front. Now, on the front, right at the very beginning, there were 2 graphs. One said bike ride, so go to that one. We want to find the rate of change. And remember, anytime you want to find a rate of change, you're going to set up a T-chart. So the x-axis is down the bottom, so this is minutes. And the y-axis, that is your side. That's the vertical, so that's yards. I need to find 2 points. It doesn't matter which 2 points I'm going to use. I'm going to use this point right here, which is 0, 0. And then I'm also going to use, and it doesn't matter which one, I'm just going to use this one, 10, and then 500. I would always suggest using the smaller numbers, but it doesn't matter. You subtract. 10 minus 0 is 10. 500 minus 0 is 500. And then divide. And remember, enter from the top. So 500 divided by 10. And you get 50. So this is 50. You're gonna, the yards is on top, so it goes first. 50 yards per, and then this is minute. 50 yards per minute. So that's the bike ride. So that means I go 50 yards in 1 minute. Okay, every single one. So rate of change, make your T-chart. The hours is your X. Feet is your Y. Okay, this is your X, and the vertical is always your Y. Find 2 points. It doesn't matter which point. Some people get confused with the end one, so if you don't want to use the end, you don't have to. This is 1, 8. So 1 goes with 8. And then another point, you've got 2 goes with 6. Okay, and then subtract. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 6 minus 8. Again, remember that you're putting in the 6 first. So you have 6 minus. Okay, so 6 minus 8, and you get negative 2. So this is a negative 2, and then you divide by 1, and so the answer is negative 2. Now, that makes sense. It's negative because it's decreasing. So anytime you have a decreasing graph, it will be negative. So this is, you are going down at a rate of 2 feet per, that slash means per hour. So you're going down 2 feet an hour. That's how the level of the pool's dropping. Now the last 3 examples, you have just plain graphs and you have to find the rate of change. So to find the rate of change, you always set up a T-chart. Now this is where a lot of students really struggle. So this is my suggestion to you. I would highlight the x-axis in a color, that's your first column. And then I would highlight the y-axis in a second color. That's your second one. Now you can see that just a little bit better. Some of you may need to even go a little bit further and number these. Remember, negative is to the left, negative is down, positive's to the right, positive is up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. If you need to number your graphs, number your graphs. Some of you know it without numbering, but some of you need it, and that's okay. So the first one, this point, okay, I need the yellow first. We'll go up to the yellow, right here where they intersect, that's 0. So 0 goes with negative 3. Okay, that's my first point. My second point, it's 2 on the yellow, on my x-axis is 2, and it goes across to 0. Now you can subtract. Okay, so 2 minus 0 is 2. Now remember, on this one, you've got to start with the 0 first. So it's 0 minus negative 3. And you get positive 3. Make sure you use your calculator. Swing it over. So 3 over 2. Now, if I put 3 divided by 2 in my calculator, it's a fraction. You can change it to a decimal, 1 and 5/10. So your rate of change is 3 over 2, or you can say 1 1/2. That's your answer. And it is increasing, and since it's increasing, it's positive. So I know that I did that part correctly, so that's a good way to check it. And so you're going up 3 over 2. So up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2, and it should be about the same every time. Okay, it should be the same every single time. Rate of change. Draw your T-chart. Again, I'm going to go over the x-axis, which is my first column, and the y-axis, my range, is the second column. I need to find 2 points. Now, I'm not going to number this one again, but if you need to number it, stop and pause it and number it, okay? So, negative, negative, positive, positive. I went from 0, I went 1 space. So that's negative 1, and then I went down 1, negative 1. This other point, I went to the right 2, 1, 2, so that's a positive 2, and then I went down 2, so that's a negative 2. Now subtract on both sides, and you start with this bottom one, so 2 minus negative 1. Make sure you enter that in. Oops, wrong number. 2 minus negative 1, and you get positive 3. So this is a 3. Start on the bottom, negative 2 minus negative 1. Now make sure you look at it carefully. Negative 2 minus negative 1. And you get a negative 1. So this is a negative 1. Now slide it over. And when you divide, it has to go from the top down. So you've got to enter this one first. Even if it's smaller, it doesn't matter. You enter from the top first when you're dividing. Negative 1 divided by 3. You get a fraction. Hit Control Enter, it's 0.3 repeating. So your answer is negative 1/3, or you could say negative 0.3 repeating. Either one. A lot of times, slope or rate of change, they will leave as a fraction. It is decreasing, and since it is decreasing, it is a negative answer. So I did that correctly. Okay, last one. So you've got your rate of change. The x-axis is first, the y-axis is second, and we want to make our points. So the first one, if you go up, it's at 0. So that's 0, and it's negative 1. My second point is down here. Okay, so if I go up, that's at 1 space, and remember it's negative to the left. So negative 1. If I go across, 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 4. Now I'm going to subtract. So negative 1 minus 0. And if you're not sure, negative 1 minus 0, use your calculator. You got it. So negative 1. On the other side, negative 4 minus negative 1. Make sure you punch it in carefully. Negative 4 minus negative 1. And you get negative 3. So negative 3. Now swing it over, and when you divide, you get positive 3. So positive 3, and it is a slope, it's positive because it's increasing. So up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. Rate of change means it's consistent. This was down 3, down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3. It's the same thing over and over. That's why it's linear.